is the season God restores everything you lost. This is not the end of your story. This is the recovery phase, because what you lost is coming back differently. There are seasons where loss feels final, where what slipped through your hands feels irretrievable, where time, opportunities, relationships, strength, confidence, and joy seem permanently gone. But there is a truth many people discover too late. Loss is not always removal. Sometimes it is relocation. What you lost was not destroyed. It was preserved for restoration. God does not allow loss without intention. He does not permit subtraction without planning multiplication. And He does not take you through empty seasons unless He intends to refill you with greater measure. This is that season. You are not entering recovery by accident. You are entering it because the season of extraction has ended. What was taken has been accounted for. What was delayed has been recorded. What was stolen has been marked for return. Restoration is not sympathy. It is justice. Some of what you lost was taken unfairly. Some was stripped through deception. Some was lost through trust given to the wrong hands. And some slipped away simply because you were not yet strong enough to protect it. But hear this clearly now. Loss does not disqualify you from restoration. In fact, it qualifies you. You could not be restored if you had not first endured loss. You could not testify of recovery if nothing had ever been taken. And you could not carry restored blessings with wisdom if you had not first learned through absence. That is why this season feels different. You are no longer grieving what left. You are sensing what's returning. And not in pieces, but in alignment. Not in fragments, but in fullness. Not the same way, but the right way. This is the season God restores everything you lost. Not everything at once, not everything loudly, but everything intentionally. Some restorations begin internally before they ever show externally. Confidence returning quietly, peace settling without explanation, clarity forming where confusion once lived. These are not emotions. They are signals that the cycle has shifted. You may notice that what used to trigger anxiety no longer has the same effect. What once intimidated you no longer controls you. What used to drain you now feels distant. That's because the authority of loss has expired. Loss had permission for a season. That permission has been revoked. There are people listening right now who lost years of effort with little reward, years of sowing with little harvest, years of standing strong while nothing seemed to move. And you wondered whether it was all in vain. It was not. Those years were not wasted. They were stored as maturity, stored as discernment, stored as capacity. And now what was stored is being activated. Restoration is not about returning you to who you were before the loss. That version of you could not sustain what is coming. Restoration is about elevating you into who you needed to become in order to carry what you lost and more. This is why restoration comes with responsibility. What returns will not come to someone desperate. It will come to someone disciplined. What is restored will not land on insecurity. It will land on stability. What is released will not be entrusted to chaos. It will be entrusted to clarity. And you are ready now. Some of you lost reputation. Others lost opportunity. Some lost finances. Some lost relationships that mattered deeply. And some lost belief in themselves. But restoration does not ask how you lost it. It only asks whether you are prepared to steward it now. And you are not the same person who lost it. You think differently. You discern better. You choose wisely. That is why restoration is safe now. This is the season where God repays time, where wasted seasons are redeemed, where tears become evidence, where silence gives way to testimony. You will not just recover what was lost. You will recover with wisdom, and wisdom multiplies restoration. This is why the return will feel calm, not chaotic. You won't scramble to hold it. You won't fear losing it again. You won't cling out of insecurity. You will steward from confidence, because you know now, what God restores, He establishes. And this is only the beginning. There is a dimension of restoration that goes beyond replacement. It is not simply about getting back what was taken. It is about divine compensation. This is where justice enters the story, where loss is no longer explained away as a lesson, but addressed as a wrong that must be corrected. This is the phase you are stepping into now, because not everything you lost was lost naturally. Some things were taken prematurely, some were delayed intentionally, some were disrupted through opposition, misunderstanding, or manipulation. And when loss comes through injustice, restoration does not come quietly. It comes with authority. God does not ignore what was taken unfairly. There are seasons where He allows loss to refine you, and there are seasons where He confronts loss to repay you. You are no longer in the season of refinement. You are in the season of reckoning. What you lost has been accounted for. Every opportunity that slipped away because of timing you couldn't control. Every relationship that ended because you trusted when you shouldn't have. Every resource drained while you were trying to survive. None of it escaped notice. Nothing was overlooked. Nothing was forgotten. Nothing was dismissed. Heaven keeps records, and restoration begins when the record is opened. Some of you wondered why you had to endure loss silently, why there was no defense when things went wrong, why you weren't given a chance to explain or fight back. But silence was part of the process because God wanted to handle the justice Himself. If you had defended yourself, you might have won an argument. But because you stayed still, He is about to restore the outcome. There is a difference. You didn't lose because you were weak. You lost because you were being preserved from responding the wrong way. You lost because the return needed to be clean, free from bitterness, free from revenge, free from pride. Now the return will be pure. This is why you feel a strange calm when you think about what you lost. The pain is no longer sharp. The anger is no longer loud. The questions no longer torment you. That emotional shift is not healing alone. It is readiness. You cannot carry restored blessings while still bleeding from old wounds. And now you're no longer bleeding. Some people lost ground professionally. Careers stalled, progress slowed. Recognition went elsewhere. Others lost ground emotionally. Trust broken, affection withdrawn, connections severed. And some lost ground spiritually. Faith shaken, confidence questioned, identity blurred. But restoration does not return you to the same ground. It elevates you to higher ground. This time, when opportunity returns, it will come with leverage. When relationships return, they will come with respect. When resources return, they will come with structure. You will not rebuild the same way again. This is divine payback, not revenge, not retaliation, but recompense. The kind that restores without corrupting. The kind that repays without destroying character. And here is what many people misunderstand. Divine payback does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like quiet advantage, favor that doesn't need explanation, access that doesn't require effort, stability that doesn't require struggle. Suddenly, you're no longer fighting for position. You're being invited into it. That's when you'll know. Restoration is active. Some of you lost momentum because of prolonged delay. And delay can be more damaging than loss. Loss hurts quickly. Delay drains slowly. It wears down expectation. It dulls anticipation. It causes you to lower your hope just to survive. But God is not just restoring what you lost. He is restoring your expectation. That's why hope is rising again. That's why vision is returning. That's why you're dreaming again after telling yourself you were done hoping. Those are not emotions. They are indicators that restoration has entered motion. You wouldn't be allowed to hope again if nothing was coming. God never awakens desire without intention to fulfill it. This is why this season feels different from previous disappointments. You've been excited before and let down. You've hoped before and been disappointed. But this time, hope feels grounded, not frantic, not desperate, anchored. Because it's not coming from imagination. It's coming from alignment. There is also a restoration of time happening now. Lost years, unproductive seasons. Periods where it felt like life stood still. God redeems time by accelerating outcomes. What would have taken years will take months. What would have taken months will take weeks. This is not rushing. This is recovery. Time lost in waiting is recovered in movement. Time lost in confusion is recovered in clarity. Time lost in struggle is recovered in stability. And when this acceleration begins, you will look back and realize nothing was truly wasted. Some of you were afraid that restoration would remind you of the pain. But restored blessings don't reopen wounds. They confirm healing. They don't resurrect trauma. They validate endurance. You will not relive the loss. You will outgrow it. And as restoration unfolds, there will be moments when people notice the shift before you do. They'll comment on your confidence. They'll mention your peace. They'll acknowledge your progress. And you'll realize something really has changed. That's because restoration doesn't just return what was lost. It restores who you are. Stepping into a phase where your voice carries weight, where your decisions hold influence, where your presence commands respect without effort. This is not arrogance. This is authority restored. Loss once humbled you. Restoration now stabilizes you. And this is only the second stage. There is a point in restoration where what God is doing internally begins to surface externally. Not gradually, not quietly, but visibly. This is the stage where change can no longer be hidden, where alignment produces evidence, where restoration becomes undeniable. This is the phase you are approaching now. For a long time, restoration was happening beneath the surface. Healing you couldn't explain, strength returning without announcement, discernment sharpening quietly. But now the work moves from hidden to seen, and when that happens, narratives change. People who only knew your struggle will begin to witness your stability. People who only saw your delay will begin to observe your momentum. People who assumed your story had ended will realize it has only turned. This is public restoration is not about humiliation of others. It is not about proving a point. It is about truth standing on its own. When God restores publicly, he does not shout. He establishes. He allows results to speak where explanations once failed. That is what is coming. Some of you were misunderstood for a long time. Your silence was misinterpreted as weakness. Your patience was mistaken for inability. Your obedience was confused with passivity. But what people misunderstood was not your lack. It was your discipline. You were waiting for God's timing, not human permission. Now the timing has shifted. You will not need to announce your restoration. It will announce itself. Progress will be visible, favor will be evident, stability will be obvious. And when people ask what changed, the answer will not be complicated. Alignment changed. This is why you were kept hidden, not because you weren't ready, but because the environment wasn't. God does not reveal what cannot yet be protected. He does not expose what could still be mishandled. He waits until the structure is strong enough to sustain visibility. Now, the structure is ready. Some of you lost credibility through no fault of your own. Lies, misunderstandings, or one-sided stories shaped how people viewed you, and you wondered if your name would ever be cleared. But God does not defend reputations the way humans do. He restores credibility through consistency. Slowly, steadily, undeniably. This is why restoration often takes time, because trust is rebuilt through observation, not explanation. And now people will begin to observe something different about you. Consistency where there was chaos, peace where there was pressure, clarity where there was confusion. And over time, the truth will speak louder than any defense ever could. You will notice doors opening that once stayed closed, invitations returning that once disappeared, opportunities resurfacing, but this time with better terms, better alignment, better positioning. This is not coincidence. This is recovery of ground you once lost, recovery of space you once vacated, recovery of authority that once felt stripped away. But here's the difference now. You will not rush to reclaim everything at once. You will move with discernment, because restoration without wisdom creates the same cycles all over again. And you have wisdom now. Some of you will be reintroduced to environments you once outgrew, but didn't know how to leave. This time, you will not shrink to fit. You will not compromise to be accepted. You will stand fully aligned, fully grounded, fully aware. And because of that, your presence will shift the atmosphere. Public restoration often feels uncomfortable at first, because you're used to being unseen, used to operating quietly, used to carrying weight without recognition. But now visibility returns, and it requires adjustment. You may feel exposed, observed, evaluated. Do not retreat. Visibility is not vulnerability when identity is secure. You are not stepping into exposure. You are stepping into clarity. People are not watching you to judge you. They are watching because something about your life reflects stability they are searching for, and whether they admit it or not, your restoration will give them permission to hope again. This is one of the hidden purposes of restoration. It is never only about you. It is about what your life demonstrates to others who are still waiting. Your recovery becomes a reference point. Your turnaround becomes a testimony. Your stability becomes proof. And you didn't need a microphone for it. This is why God restored you quietly first. Because public restoration without private healing creates pressure you cannot sustain. But you have been healed, grounded, established. Now the public phase will not crush you. Some people will be surprised by how calm you are during this season. They expected excitement, overreaction, celebration. But what they'll see instead is composure, gratitude, clarity. Because restoration didn't just give you back what you lost. It taught you how to hold it. You will no longer fear losing what you gain, because fear belongs to insecurity. And insecurity has been removed. You trust the process now. You trust the timing. You trust the source. That trust is visible. And as restoration continues to unfold publicly, you will notice something else shift. Your voice. When you speak now, people listen. When you decide now, it carries weight. When you move now, others adjust, not because you demanded authority, but because it was restored. This is what happens when God gives back what was lost. He doesn't just restore position, He restores influence, and that influence will be used wisely, because you know what it costs to lose it. This is not the climax yet. This is the confirmation that restoration is real, the confirmation that the loss has been reversed, the confirmation that the season has changed, and there is still more ahead. There is a level of restoration that does not move slowly. Once alignment is established and character is proven, restoration begins to accelerate. This is where time is redeemed. Ground is recovered quickly, and what once took years begins to happen in months. This is the phase you are entering now. God does not waste momentum. When restoration begins to move, it does not creep, it advances, and the speed is not chaotic, it is precise. Every return is intentional. Every opportunity is calculated. Every door opens in sequence. This is not haste. This is redemption of time. You lost time in waiting, time in confusion, time in survival mode. And one of the most painful realizations is knowing you can never go back and relive those years. But God does not restore time by turning clocks backward. He restores time by compressing outcomes. What should have taken long will now happen quickly. This is why you may feel like life is suddenly picking up speed. Conversations are happening faster, decisions are clearer, progress is visible, and you may even feel slightly overwhelmed by how quickly things are moving after such a long season of stillness. But do not panic. Acceleration only feels dangerous when preparation is missing, and you are prepared. This acceleration is not about overwhelming you, it is about recovering what was delayed. God is not rushing you, He is restoring rhythm. He is bringing life back into alignment with its original pace. Some of you lost opportunities because you were not ready when they came. Others lost them because circumstances were against you. And some lost them because people mishandled you. But restoration does not bring back opportunity alone. It brings better positioning. When opportunity returns now, you will meet it with discernment, not desperation. You will not grab blindly. You will evaluate wisely. You will recognize what fits and what does not. That is maturity. This is why restored opportunities will not slip through your hands again. You are no longer operating from fear of loss. You are operating from clarity of purpose. And clarity stabilizes acceleration. There is also a multiplication effect that comes with this phase. Restoration does not just return what was lost, it increases it. What once came in small measure will now come in abundance. What once came inconsistently will now come steadily, not because you demanded more, but because you can handle more. God does not multiply what you cannot manage. But now you have structure. You have discipline. You have restraint, and that qualifies you for increase. Some of you will notice financial restoration happening alongside emotional restoration. Stability returning alongside confidence. Opportunities aligning alongside peace. This is not coincidence, it is holistic restoration. God does not restore one area and neglect the others. He restores systems, He restores balance, He restores flow. This is why your sleep is improving, your thoughts are clearer, your energy is returning. These are signs that restoration is touching your foundation, not just your surface. And as acceleration continues, something else will happen. You will stop feeling behind. For a long time, comparison tormented you. You measured your progress against others. You felt late. You felt delayed. You felt like life moved on without you. But now that voice is quieting, because alignment removes comparison. When you are aligned with your assignment, you stop measuring yourself against timelines that were never yours. You stop chasing paths that were never meant for you. You stop envying outcomes that would not fit your calling. And suddenly, peace replaces pressure. This is one of the greatest restorations. Restored perspective. You no longer feel rushed to catch up. You feel confident moving forward. You no longer regret missed seasons. You recognize they shaped you. You no longer fear lost opportunities. You trust better ones are ahead. That trust is not blind faith, it is informed faith. Informed by survival, informed by endurance, informed by experience. This is why you will not mishandle acceleration. You respect momentum because you remember stagnation. You honor progress because you remember loss. You steward restoration because you know what absence feels like. That awareness keeps you grounded, and because you remain grounded, restoration will continue to multiply. You are stepping into a season where gains compound, where small wins stack, where consistency replaces volatility, where growth becomes sustainable. This is not a short-lived comeback. This is a long-term recovery. God is not restoring you for a moment. He is restoring you for longevity. And as this acceleration unfolds, you will notice something deeply reassuring. Nothing feels forced. You are not striving. You are not overextending. You are not burning out. You are flowing. That is how you know restoration is real. There is a stage of restoration where what has been returned must now be secured. This is where God does not just give back. He establishes. He does not simply restore, He protects. He does not only bless, He fortifies. This is the stage you are entering now. Restoration without protection would only repeat loss. And God does not repeat cycles. He ends them. That is why this phase feels quieter, steadier, and more intentional. The excitement of return gives way to the wisdom of preservation. You are learning how to hold what you prayed for. In earlier seasons, you may have received blessings that slipped through your hands, opportunities that came too early, favor that arrived before structure, access without boundaries, but now what returns comes with covering. This time it stays. You are not the same person who lost it before. You now recognize warning signs. You now value peace over pressure. You now understand that not everything good is meant to be rushed. That discernment is part of the restoration. God is sealing what He has returned. Some of you noticed that even as things are improving, your tolerance for chaos is gone. You walk away faster. You pause before agreeing. You pray before committing. That is not fear. That is wisdom is restoration's security system. This is why certain people are not allowed back into your life, even though you have forgiven them. Forgiveness restores your heart. Boundaries protect your future. God is not reopening every door, He is securing the right ones. Not every loss is meant to be restored in its original form. Some things were removed permanently because they were attached to cycles that could not follow you into this season. And that is not punishment. It is protection. You are no longer asking God to fix what broke you. You are trusting Him to preserve what He rebuilt. That shift in prayer is evidence of growth. You no longer pray out of desperation. You pray out of alignment. And alignment attracts protection. God is not only restoring your resources, He is restoring your judgment, your ability to choose wisely, your ability to say no confidently, your ability to wait without anxiety. These are gifts, because future loss is often prevented not by strength, but by discernment. This is why this season feels less emotional and more stable. You are not riding highs and lows anymore. You are grounded, balanced, clear. Stability is one of the greatest signs of secured restoration. Some of you feared that restoration would make you vulnerable again, that opening your heart would invite pain, that trusting again would lead to disappointment. But God does not heal you just to expose you. He heals you to strengthen you. What is restored now is not fragile. It is reinforced. Your joy is deeper. Your peace is anchored. Your confidence is rooted. And because of that, you will not be easily shaken again. You are also entering a phase where God teaches you how to maintain restoration. Maintenance is not glamorous, but it is essential. It looks like consistency, discipline, daily alignment, small decisions made correctly. This is where many people fail, not in receiving blessings, but in sustaining them. But you will not, because you remember what it cost to lose them. Memory becomes discipline. You will not misuse what you begged for. You will not abuse what you cried for. You will not neglect what you prayed for. That reverence protects restoration. There is also a divine protection over your future now. You are not just being restored from past loss, you are being guarded against future theft. God is closing access points the enemy once used. He is sealing vulnerabilities. He is strengthening foundations. This is why some things feel slower again, not delayed but deliberate. God is reinforcing before He expands further. Because expansion without reinforcement leads to collapse, but reinforcement leads to longevity, and longevity is God's goal. You are not being restored for a moment. You are being restored for a lifetime. This is why you no longer feel rushed to prove anything. You are not chasing applause. You are not comparing progress. You are content building quietly, steadily, wisely. That posture keeps restoration secure. And as this season continues, you will notice something powerful. Fear of loss will no longer control your decisions. You will no longer cling tightly. You will no longer overprotect out of anxiety. You trust the process now. Trust is the final seal of restoration, Because when trust returns, peace follows. And when peace governs, nothing can steal what God has established. You are no longer living guarded by trauma. You are living secured by wisdom. And there is still one final phase ahead, the completion, where restoration turns into testimony and legacy. There comes a moment when restoration stops being a promise and becomes a reality you live in. When you no longer ask whether it will happen because you can feel it has already begun. When peace settles so deeply that fear no longer has a voice. This is that moment. You are no longer in recovery. You are no longer in survival. You are no longer trying to rebuild what was broken. You are established. What God has restored is not temporary. It is not fragile. It is not experimental. It is secured, sealed, and sustained. The ground beneath you is firm now. The foundation is stable. The season has shifted, and from here forward, loss will no longer define you. You will still face challenges, but they will not dismantle you. You will still make decisions, but they will not be driven by fear. You will still grow, but you will not outgrow your grounding, because restoration did not just give you back what you lost, it changed who you are. You are wiser now, stronger now, clearer now, and that is why what God restores to you will last. Some of you wondered if you would ever fully recover, not just materially, but emotionally, spiritually, mentally. You wondered if the weight of what you lost would always follow you. But restoration does not trail pain behind it. It closes the chapter. You will remember what you survived, but it will no longer control you. You will acknowledge what you lost, but it will no longer limit you. You will honor the lessons, but you will not relive the wounds, because the season has ended. This is where testimony begins, not the loud kind, not the forced kind, but the undeniable kind. The kind people see without explanation. The kind they feel when they encounter your peace. The kind that speaks when you walk into a room, grounded, calm, and confident. Your life will answer questions for others. People will ask how you recovered, how you stayed steady, how you didn't become bitter, how you rebuilt without collapsing. And you won't need to defend yourself or explain every detail. You will simply be evidence. This is why God allowed the process to be long. Because shallow restoration creates shallow testimony. But deep restoration creates lasting impact. What you carry now will help others heal. What you've learned will help others avoid loss. What you've endured will help others persevere. Your restoration will not end with you. And now, as this season unfolds, there is a responsibility to walk forward without looking back. Not because the past didn't matter, but because it no longer has authority. You are not required to revisit what God already resolved. You are not required to re-enter battles God already ended. You are not required to explain chapters God already closed. Move forward. The future ahead of you is not uncertain. It is aligned. The doors opening now are not accidental, they are appointed. The opportunities returning now are not repeats. They are upgrades. This time you will steward them well, because restoration didn't rush you, it prepared you. If you can, pause for a moment and receive this. Declare this aloud or quietly in your heart. This is my season of restoration. What I lost is returned with wisdom. What was taken is restored with stability. What was delayed is released with purpose. I walk forward healed, grounded, and secure. I will not lose again what God has restored. Amen. May peace guard your heart. May wisdom guide your decisions. May favor accompany your steps. May protection surround what has been restored. And may your life stand as proof that loss does not have the final word. If this message spoke to you, type Amen in the comments to seal it. Share this with someone who needs restoration today. Subscribe to Rise Beyond Average for more messages that bring clarity, strength, and direction. You are no longer in loss.